Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I work with IHBC, and I work with these two wonderful ladies as well when it comes to the diploma of social media. So it's kind of like an opportunity for you guys to have a look to see of some of the things that we can do with you and help you through. So I'll go through a couple of my slides, just introducing myself and everybody else. So Social Media College Masterclass today. So this is hosted by Social Media College, who is one of our partners when it comes to engaging students and teaching students on exactly what it means to be an expert in social media. So we're going to focus specifically on the Instagram side of it today. So who we are is we're a college that has 6 different campuses, 2 here in Sydney, 1 in Bondi and Sydney. We also have some remote ones for some of you that don't live in Sydney. Melbourne, Victoria, obviously Darwin, Gold Coast, and probably the nicest campus because it's right next to the beach, which is Byron Bay. We've been helping students for forever in their chosen fields, and social media is probably one of the biggest things that we're helping with students these days, because it's something that's really important to entrepreneurs. It's important to people that want to work within the social media environment. Next slide. Great. So 5 reasons why the diploma specifically will work for you is it's not just about learning the basics of marketing and looking at how marketing has changed in the business. I mean, I started doing marketing, I'm not going to say how long ago because I'm a little bit older than most, but I'll say it's been a while. So I've actually gone through all the different kinds. Now these days, if you don't know social media, if you don't know digital media, you will struggle. So it's not just for businesses either. You look at politicians, they brand themselves as well. So we're looking at teaching you how to do that as well. Look, since Facebook has come on board, social media is everything. So we will teach you that today with Instagram, and on top of that, if you come and do the diploma with us as well, you'll learn about all those other things as well. Also, if you don't want to work for yourself or for a government or anything like that, there are so many jobs out there at the moment. And I was looking at it just before we came online on how many roles are out there. There is thousands of jobs out there just in the marketing and digital marketing space. And it's always changing. So when you study with us, you will learn not just what's happening today, but also looking at, how everything's changing, where to look and where to find out where everything's changing as you go along. So that's something that we're going to help you with as well. Now, that's a lot of reasons why to choose us. Look, to me, the most basic are, we have a lot of industry engagement. We do a lot of these kind of things, which is, masterclasses, and specifically, with our partners, obviously. We look at getting you with work experience, getting you into the industry as well. So when you study with us, we also give you the privilege of going and doing work experience, and work experience in social media is paramount, because that way on your resume, you can actually put on there, I have worked here, I've worked there, I've done this, I've done that. And we will teach you while you study with us exactly how to do that and how to do it effectively, which is everything to us. And also the other thing that we're going to help you with is the people that will train you, like Natalia today, for example, are people that are experts in their field. Okay, so it's not just people that have been taught how to teach. When you get to school, you get a teacher that teaches you mathematics. They're not a mathematician. Our people are not just people that have been taught how to teach this. All of our trainers are experts in their field. So you're learning the content, but you're also learning it from a perspective of the live environment. And that's something that we pride ourselves on to the nth degree. And on top of that, I'm always here to help out. I'm not just someone that helps students look at the right career. I'm actually a qualified careers advisor as well. And unfortunately for most of you, I've actually worked in digital media as well. I've worked for a few agencies myself. So I don't know it as much as well as Natalia, I'll admit, but I do know my stuff quite well. So I can always answer questions when you come and study with us as well. Now, I want to introduce Natalia, someone that knows the industry inside and out, who's going to be teaching us, including me, on how to maximize Instagram. So I'm going to pass over to Natalia.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm super excited to be here today and hosting this masterclass. I think Instagram is a topic that a lot of us are very interested in. It's super relevant today, and seems like that's not really going anywhere. So it'll be really fun to dig into some of this. Just a little bit about me. I am from Chicago. You can probably hear that accent come through loud and strong as we go throughout today. But I have worked in the social media realm for over 7 years. I've worked for some major brands like Groupon and helped other lifestyle brands like the Every Girl reach 1 million followers on Instagram. So definitely going to be, bringing out some of the experience that I have and discussing that today and some of the tactics that I've learned along the way. So really excited to dive in. And again, we will have a few little activities and things that pop up as we go. So certainly encourage all of your participation in the chat. But we will just go ahead and get started. And to start off, since we are here in Australia, we like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to other Indigenous people present. So we will be looking at both, kind of sides of tactics and content when it comes to our strategy today. You really can't have one without the other. You need to have a really effective strategy, but you also need to have really great content. And just focusing on one side of the spectrum is not going to get you the engagement that you're looking for. So we're going to be covering both aspects as we go. But to jump right in, we're going to talk about engagement. Instagram is arguably the most popular social media platform still today. Brands are really drawn to Instagram for high engagement rates. It's currently 10 times higher than the engagement you see on Facebook. So it's very interesting to see how that shift has taken place over the years. And you may be familiar with the Instagram algorithm. This has also changed quite a lot since the app began. Currently, the algorithm looks at a user's past behavior, and it's trying to predict kind of exactly how interesting it expects a particular story or post is going to be to that user when it decides on what content to show you. So no one's feed is going to look exactly the same. It's going to be based on your own behaviors. So a major factor in that is engagement rate. That is the speed at which engagement actually occurs. So just to start off, timeliness is a huge consideration when it comes to building engagement on Instagram. The first hour after your content is shared, it's really taking all of the information it needs from that first hour. I'm seeing how long people have spent on a post or viewing a story. They actually have technology that shows how long people have spent looking at these posts. And even if they're not doing anything to engage with it, like, comment, nothing, just how long they're looking at it. So you really want to make sure that you are creating some highly engaging content. You want people to spend time looking at what you're making. So definitely that will influence the type of content you create as well. You're going to be looking at trying to get as much engagement when it comes to shares. You're going to be looking at trying to get saves on posts. So think about what content people would want to save and come back to. You're going to be looking at engagement when it comes to profile visits and follows, of course, also story replies and direct messages. So definitely, as we go throughout today, we're going to place a high emphasis on this engagement piece. And something to start right off the bat and introduce is the idea that video is absolutely the top of the game. That is outperforming any type of image content that there is. Video is by far the most popular and engaging content today. So you'll certainly want to keep that in mind in your strategy, as we will discuss. And think about the engagement being rewarded with more reach and how you can get more engagement, which leads to more reach on all of your posts, which is really how things get seen by more people. So when it comes to your Instagram strategy, I think one of the first kind of concepts people think about is, oh, what does my feed look like? How do I decide what kind of feed I'm going to create? And when you're creating your content, you do want to make sure that it tells a story. So you want to use your images to captivate and engage your audience and kind of take them on a journey. It's really important to think about a few key concepts as you're creating content. You want to make sure that anything you produce is either educating, inspiring, or entertaining your audience. So you want to ask, what feeling can I give to people looking at my feed? And how can I connect with them on a deeper level? You want your feed to have, if there's a few different approaches you can take when you're creating this. So you can have something that's kind of consistent with beautiful imagery that has a lot of cohesive colors and maybe similar filters. This could be very, attention to detail, but you can also have a feed that's a little bit more random. You can have something that, is a bit less perfected. So what's really interesting about Instagram right now is you're seeing kind of the prevalence of both. For quite a while, all there was that kind of magazine feel, as we would call it, highly filtered, very glossy and perfected looking feeds. But as time goes on, you're seeing a drastic shift away from that. People are wanting real life kind of moments. And that's, again, something that video really can capture. It's a bit more organic. It's a bit more natural feeling. So trying to, share what's more genuine as opposed to what's strictly aesthetic is kind of another mindset you can take when creating your feed. Definitely falls in line with this Instagram versus reality concept that's become so popular after a few years of this really beautified imagery that we've seen all over the app. So just think about kind of what is your brand voice? What is your personality when you're trying to make the decision of what your feed should look like? If your brand is kind of playful and fun, maybe you want something that's a bit more humorous and you want to pick colors and a style that's going to reflect that attitude. But maybe if you have something like, an interior design company where this consistent beautified imagery is really important, you will want to stick with that kind of glossier look for your feed. So just make sure that you're keeping all of those considerations in mind. And when you're then looking at the design or the layout of your feed, again, it can be a bit random, or you can, adhere to a few easy grid styles that can help organize your feed. You'll see on the left, you have kind of roughly a tiling pattern going on. You'll see that you have one image that's maybe a photo of a person, and then you have something that's text-based, and it's kind of every other. So there are these kind of creative ways you can design your feed. It just depends on what aesthetic fits your brand and makes the most sense for you. Now, of course, in order to create your feed, you're going to need to actually make some great posts first. So you do not need necessarily to have, professional equipment or a camera or anything like that to take your photos with. Again, one of the benefits of this sort of new aesthetic that's emerging, that's a bit more haphazard and a bit more organic, natural looking, is the fact that you don't need your content to look that perfect. It can be a little bit more raw. So you can easily take, your content on an iPhone. But at the same time, if you do want it to be a bit more perfected looking, it's amazing what iPhones or any really smartphone and, editing apps on our phones offer today. There's a lot of free editing tools you can use right on your mobile device. Lightroom, which is the one that's depicted here in these screenshots, is a personal favorite of mine. You're able to just really easily tweak colors. As you can see, this wasn't even a filter. This is just kind of a blurry image taken from a plane where the colors have been pushed up a bit. So it still, has a natural feel without, looking over filtered, but it definitely does make the colors pop and make the image a little bit more beautified. So there are a few helpful tips that I'll share when it comes to taking some high quality, really interesting images. Try to use natural lights whenever possible. This will, give you the most even lighting for your photos. They'll probably be the most, appealing looking. Also, try taking photos from a variety of angles. This is going to help to maintain interest and really diversify your feed as well. That's another kind of big aspect of your feed. You want things to, have some interest. That's another way to create a lot of engagement. So try shooting, a subject, let's say it's a product or even, a person from a different angle, maybe a lower angle rather than straight on. Also use depth. Shooting photos that show a sense of space can be very visually appealing, as opposed to just, standing up against a wall. That was something we saw a lot of a couple years ago on Instagram. It felt like every kind of Instagram influencer was going and finding some colorful wall and just standing in front of it. We've moved away from that, thankfully, now into, looking for a bit more interest from the photos we're posting. Also, try to allow for some white space in your images. This does not necessarily mean white. It just means the open area in between, elements in the photo. So that can be some sky, the ocean, just something in the composition that's keeping it from looking overcrowded. And then using burst mode is a great tip as well. So you can get a dynamic range of poses and options. This is definitely something people are using quite a lot today to get that sort of off the cuff feel with their photos and that kind of in the moment vibe. And that goes back to in the moment photos would be the next point I would make. Try to get something that, a photo that captures a feel of an experience as opposed to just constantly posed photos. It's more interesting, even if this is a business page, and it's way more interesting to see a picture of, let's say, someone actually having a facial applied to their face or a face mask on at a beauty salon, as opposed to them just smiling afterwards. You just think about those in the moment photos that are a lot more engaging. You can also add in some blur and some grain to your photos. If you're wanting to have a bit of a vintage kind of imperfected feel, that is one trick to achieving that. And then certainly if you are, a business that does have some products, or you're potentially an influencer who would be looking to showcase products for someone else, learning how to create a flat lay, which is where you're getting kind of that bird's eye view of an array of products. The best way to do this is to try and have those carefully arranged objects. Make sure that you have a hero object. Whatever that object you're trying to feature would be the hero object, and then a few secondary placements around it as well. And just practicing those and getting some interesting flat lays can be really great for your feed. So in addition to creating some visually appealing content, you're going to also want to make sure that you are creating content that your audience values. So you have to think about, what does my audience care about? What do they want to see? And a huge mistake that we see people making with their Instagram strategy is they're kind of using it as a secondary business website or a secondary Facebook page. And with doing that, they're kind of only posting pictures of products, promotions, maybe photos of their staff and their premises, like staff events. Those types of things, are fine to share on occasion, but do you really think your audience cares to see that constantly? People probably aren't that interested. They're just not that interested in seeing, photos of the team every single day. There might be some rare exceptions, but generally speaking, there's other ways that you can reach your audience that is going to achieve the education, entertainment, or inspiring piece that we spoke about earlier. So I'm going to go back to kind of my salon example, but using maybe a hair salon. If they're just telling their customers about, the services that they're offering, that's fine. But what else could they do to add value? They could potentially be showcasing new styles that are, coming into trend. Maybe there's, a new fringe that is really popular and they're showing you the best way to style it. Something that could be a little bit educational and actually offer their audience some value. What are their customers probably Googling and trying to find out that they could offer right there on their Instagram? So this is something that you just want to keep in mind. And, there's a lot of different examples of this. You probably can see the same thing if you're, a fitness instructor and you don't want to just show pictures of your clients you're working out with. You can offer workout tips and diet tips. And there are so many different companies that can, and businesses and business owners that can add value in ways they might not even realize. So do try and think about that. Now, that being said, of course, there is a time and a place for advertising, brands, advertising products. So you can certainly make sure that you're doing that, especially if you do sell products. But just try to think about other ways that you can add value in addition, and make sure that, showcasing your offering isn't 100% of the content you're putting out on Instagram. Another great strategy to invoke some engagement is to spark an emotional reaction. So you can definitely get an emotional response from the content that you post, to create that kind of thumb stopping moment where they're going to stop scrolling and they're going to look at the post. And this is something we want. We want to make sure people are spending time on the post because we know the algorithm rewards that, even if they aren't commenting or liking it, which of course would be great, but just spending time on it is huge. So the emotional reaction piece can be anything. It doesn't have to be something really moving, like the charity that we're seeing on screen. It can just be, anything as simple as laughter. It can be inspiration, motivation, surprise elements, but it certainly can, be something like, it can even be angering if you are perhaps a charity or you're showcasing something like deforestation, like Greenpeace often shares on their page. You look at those images and they upset you, they anger you. So you do take some time to look at that, and it actually motivates you to kind of go take an action. So you can certainly have a caption along with those types of emotional posts that do, include a call to action, which is a great way to get your, potential audience to kind of go and take an action if that's something that you're really hoping to do. So we're going to just now have our first little activity here. And I would love for all of you to jump in the chat and just share an Instagram account that you love. I just love to hear, what it is about that particular account that you really like. Is it their content? Are they really funny? Do they share great imagery? I just love to see what kind of content is resonating with all of you currently on Instagram. So if you can jump in, go ahead and do that. I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up some of these while they're coming through. If you can also include kind of what it is about the account you love, that would be great. Okay, so we've got a meditation account. Frank Body, I see, which is looking like, okay, some like skincare and things. Yeah, Goop is a good one that I have seen as well, with a good strategy. I think that definitely I'm looking at some of these accounts and I do see that a lot of them are sharing some user-generated content as well. So they're sharing a lot of what their followers create on their behalf, which is always great, and just a good variety of content from these feeds. Okay, and then, yep, I'm seeing a makeup account as well that actually gives you some tips on how to do makeup, which is very educational, so that's great. I love Australia, just checking out what that one is. Okay, yeah, we've got some great photography here as well. Okay, yeah, so I'm just seeing that some people are wanting to see some responses. So it looks like if you change your settings to everyone in the chat, you should be able to see everybody else's comments. But yeah, I think what a lot of these, you could look at most of the accounts that you guys are identifying as some of your favorites. And, there's something really specific that it's offering. It's usually some kind of educational piece, or it's an entertainment piece, like we've been talking about, maybe a bit of inspiration in there as well. And then, yeah, I'm seeing something really niche, like we've got content about engineering. So having a page where you can actually, add that value. And then, yes, we've got someone else who's coming through that's saying someone they follow is just really funny. It can be something simple, but what's so interesting is that even brands today can have a voice that is really distinct. There are a few brands that come across as super humorous on their social media. So of course you have to see what the right fit is for your particular brand or organization, but it's very, possible to actually have a product, but also create a voice for yourself and on your socials that's going to create a lot of engagement just based on having a really interesting voice. It doesn't necessarily have to be all about your product and your service offering. Great. Thanks everyone for sharing some of your favorites here. So again, just kind of going back to the importance of knowing your audience. Knowing who your majority of your audience is huge. That goes between, just demographics, knowing kind of where are they located, what are their interests, what is their age group, is it, do you have a majority of female audience? All of those things really will inform the content strategy that you create. And it's really essential to have that information for any marketing strategy, but especially your social media strategy. You don't want to go in blind and just keep creating content if it's not getting any engagement. And the best, information that you can actually get is to know who your audience is. Who are you trying to reach? That will certainly give you an idea of who you need to cater some of your content towards. And once you have an idea of that, you'll be able to keep building on the content from there. And we also want to be sharing a lot of content. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these points on screen. But sharing content consistently is extremely important on Instagram. So there is kind of this concern from a lot of people that you don't want to maybe overwhelm your viewers and post too often. But honestly, when you are posting consistently and regularly, you are able to then build up a following, because people who engage with one post are going to continuously engage with your content. They'll be more likely to see it, and the algorithm is going to feed it to them if they've engaged with one post. So you can keep building off of that by making sure you're showing them content pretty regularly in the hopes that they will continue to be, engaging with the future content that you put out there. And certainly making sure that you have a variety of content that you are posting, which we will cover. It doesn't all have to be just feed posts. You can make sure that you are posting regularly to your stories. You can post to reels. You can be really creative and make sure you're covering a lot of different avenues when it comes to the type of content. And you also will want to bulk produce your content. So making sure you have a good resource and a lot of content available that you can pull from when you need to post something. So you're not in that constant state of scrambling. This is where a lot of people fall behind and a lot of brands fall behind, is when they don't have the content available. So they're like, well, I can't post anything this week. I haven't got anything to post, or there's no time. You need to stay really organized, and definitely that goes into having a content strategy, which we'll talk a little bit more about when it comes to scheduling. You need to have a content calendar, and you need to make sure that you've then got content to pull from. So having, some kind of system, whether it's, having someone designated to helping you create content. Maybe you have someone working specifically on social media. Maybe you are that person. Make sure that you have that bulk created content that covers, a few boxes. You want some evergreen content ready to go that you can use at any time if you need a post. So it isn't related then to something like a promotion or something like a holiday. It's going to be content that works anytime, whenever you want to post it. But you have it there so that you never miss a beat and you're always getting content published consistently throughout the week. And missed a point, but curating content from other accounts is another way to achieve that. You can actually, look at other accounts and see if they've got some really great relevant content that you'd love to share. Sometimes that can even just be like a quote or something that, really suits your account as well. Usually it's okay to repost that as long as you credit the original account that posted it. So just make sure that you are always tagging that handle and mentioning them in the caption or something that definitely gives them that credit. Oftentimes people will appreciate that gesture because it's just given them a little bit more exposure. It's encouraged people to maybe go look at their account. So it shouldn't be viewed as stealing by any means, so long as you are giving them some credit. But it can certainly help your strategy if you're having a hard time producing your own content in-house. You can certainly go and find other great content to curate, and it can also really help you to build the aesthetic that you're aiming for. So again, it just goes back into the posting daily. We've kind of covered this already, but when you set up your content calendar, you can actually adjust this on most apps. There's quite a few different services available you can use for content calendars, but you can set this to be daily, weekly, or monthly. So whatever works best for you, but just make sure you've got something in place that lets you stay organized and allows you to estimate kind of the volume of content that you're going to need to produce, so you can look ahead and, you know, view your content strategy as a broader, bigger picture. Usually every entry in your social media calendar will include the exact time and date that the post is going to go live, and all of the social channels that it's going to be published to, in addition to the actual, you know, clip or image that's going to be published, and any, you know, links and tags along with it. So this is just a great idea to really make sure that you do stick with the posting daily. So going into kind of different types of content we can post, we've talked a lot about your kind of standard static feed images, but there are other extremely engaging types of posts, starting off with stories. More than 500 million people use Instagram stories every single day. So these are highly popular. Many of you are probably familiar with them. They're vertical full screen videos and photos that live for 24 hours. And they appear at the top of your Instagram app rather than in the news feed. So these are, they're until now, they were broken up into like 15-second chunks, but I know that they're extending them to be longer in length as well. So something that's really great for business owners to know is that 58% of Instagram users report that they've become more interested in a product or brand after seeing it in their stories. So around half of them say they've actually visited the website to go buy a product or service after seeing it there. So this is just a great place to really take advantage of kind of promotional type of material, because it's temporary and it doesn't live on your feed forever. You're not going to be crowding up your feed with that content we spoke about that is, you know, over the top promotional content. You can still create that value adding content for your feed while achieving, you know, publishing these promotions that are very current and of the moment, and making sure you're getting that information out there. Just take advantage of stories to do that, and not always relying on your feed. So the stories are also really great for engagement. We'll cover this as well, but they have a lot of interactive tools like stickers and polls and different filters. So it's just a great place to drive some engagement, build your brand awareness, and even make some e-commerce sales as well. So definitely post to stories daily. That would be the one place I'd say for sure you need to be posting every single day. And remaining consistently active on stories will also just increase your discoverability across the board and really prove that your brand is active and engaged. When you go to a brand's page, if you see that they constantly have their stories updated, you know, okay, they're on top of it. They're staying really current. You know, they're here, they're listening, they're aware. If someone's got, you know, maybe a few days that they missed on their feed posts, as long as their stories are active, you can tell that they are still active. So that's definitely the most important, I would say, for the daily posting. Now, a really exciting feature that goes along with the stories that has come out in the last few months is the ability to add a link sticker to your stories. So previously, you needed 10,000 followers minimum to get access to the swipe up link. And I'm sure if anyone uses Instagram as much as I do, you have that forever stuck in your brain of like, okay, guys, swipe up for the link. So you don't have to do that anymore, which is amazing. So you don't need to worry about hitting that milestone. You can actually add links now with just a sticker. Anyone can do it, which makes it way easier to promote, you know, your products or get people to a specific landing page that you're trying to send them to. So that's an awesome new update, relatively new update. There's also been a lot of other updates that have come out in recent months. So just to cover a couple of those that you may or may not be aware of, you can now upload photos and videos from desktop, which, you know, can potentially be helpful for running a social media account for a business. There's also some new collaboration features where you're collaborating on a post and it appears on both of your feeds. So we'll touch on that again. And then again, with the scheduling aspect, when it comes to posting an Instagram live, you can actually now schedule those live streams in advance. So it'll send out a notification to your followers, letting them know that, this live stream will be happening. It doesn't have to be right in the moment. You can actually have it scheduled. So there's been some really exciting things. Instagram is definitely trying to keep up with TikTok these days. So there are updates coming almost every week. So definitely, keep your eyes peeled, because there's a lot of new features available for you that you may not even know of, because they're coming out so often. All right, so we've spoken about the importance of video today, how that's just really taking over. And now we're going to break down kind of the Instagram video offerings. So this is certainly, video is consumers' favorite form of content. They've estimated last year that, the average person is going to be spending 100 minutes per day watching online video content, which is pretty insane. So Instagram is taking note of this. They first introduced IGTV, which you might remember back in 2018. That was kind of trying to, be a YouTube equivalent. And then they launched Reels in 2020, trying to kind of make their TikTok equivalent. But just at the end of last year, they updated it all again with Instagram video. So this kind of combines IGTV video and regular feed videos together. So there is no more IGTV. You've just got one format, which is Instagram video. And these videos do live on the feed like a normal post. This is hopefully, they claimed it's to simplify the video creation process for users. I think it does. I think it was very confusing for a while when it was Reels and video and IGTV, and it was like, oh, which one should I be using? Now there's a distinct difference between video and Reels. So the regular video is great for long form content. It does allow videos of up to 60 minutes in length. So, if you've got like a short feature film, go ahead and post it on Instagram because you've got 60 minutes. But this is kind of like the standard option. It'll show up in the main feed, and it's great for content that you want and know you'll keep on your feed forever. And you'll definitely want, users to engage with and be on that main profile. So another kind of aspect to keep in mind is that while video content is so popular, it also does have the highest engagement rates on the app because it does perform the best with most algorithms. It captures viewer attention longer. So that piece we keep talking about, getting them to really stay on the post for a while. It also does typically generate more interactions like shares. So that's another, tick for the algorithm. It really likes to see that. And of course, it's popular with Gen Z, and it can be repurposed as well. So creating video content is great for you to just have in general for your marketing strategy. It's also a lot more personable. You can even do a product demonstration with a video, which is going to be a way more personable way to showcase a product than just taking a photo of it. So there's a lot of creative things you can do with video. I would highly encourage you to start jumping into video content if you haven't utilized it much already. Which brings us into Instagram Reels. So this is definitely where the algorithm, is most favoring content. It's really pushing Reels. It wants to make Reels kind of the TikTok competitor. Obviously, I'm sure Instagram would love to overtake TikTok, but it's offering a very similar thing. It's kind of the short, snackable content. It's at 60 seconds in length. So this is great for, trying to attract new followers because they are pushing it so much in the algorithm that it's more likely that new people will see your content when it's posted to Reels. And it does have some distinct features that sets it apart from, regular Instagram video. It has that variety of editing tools like TikTok does. So you can add songs, filters, stickers, all that sort of thing. And you can definitely just edit them a lot of different ways. And you can also, share them a little bit differently than you can share video. So the regular video lives in your main grid and your main feed, but Reels can be shared there, but they can also be shared to your stories. They can be shared just to the Reels feed. You have like that separate tab now where you can just see someone's reels, you'll actually see that on the right, the image on the far right. If you toggle over to that tab, that's where everyone's kind of reels will be found. You can just share it there if you don't want it to be on your main feed. So you can organize it a little bit differently, which is really great if you want it to be something that's a bit more fun, off the cuff, but doesn't necessarily fit your aesthetic. So certainly, you know, take advantage of reels. The algorithm is pushing them very hard right now, and it's a great tool to take advantage of if you're trying to grow and build your audience. And then just another update that has come about recently, you can actually reply to comments on a reel with a reel. So this is a new feature. It again is being borrowed from TikTok, but once you can just click on this reply icon at the bottom, and then the Reels interface will appear to reply using a video reel. So just something kind of different that you can keep in mind as well, just to increase engagement. All right, so just moving over to another little activity. I just kind of am curious to see what your guys' activity level looks like. How many times each week are you posting to your feed currently and to your stories? And then I'd love to know, have you played with Reels at all? Have you made any so far? And have you made any Instagram videos? And if so, maybe a rough estimate of how many, so we can just kind of get an idea of how active this group is. Okay, so I've seen 4 times per week for posts and 5 times for stories. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, posting once a week. Awesome. A personal travel blog. That's really cool. I think you could probably even up that a bit if you're hoping to build out your Instagram. Okay, so we've got someone who hasn't posted Reels yet. Yeah, I think that would be the #1 thing I would start doing, certainly to improve kind of your strategy. If you're looking to implement anything right now, it would be to just start using Reels for sure. And another great thing with Reels is if you happen to be active on TikTok, you can take those TikTok videos and repurpose them over to Reels. They are filmed in the same format, which makes that really easy. I know for myself, when I'm scrolling through Reels, I see a lot of TikTok videos. It's super common. So, it's not, I wouldn't only rely on that. I would definitely try to make some original content for your Reels, but to get yourself going, to get started, if you have some great content already made, you can certainly, as long as it's in that vertical format, upload it over to Reels as well. Yep. And a content calendar is definitely, I think, a really helpful tool. It just keeps you a little bit more accountable. It keeps you organized. I think it's so easy to, have a busy day, especially if you're managing a brand or an organization. There's so many other responsibilities. I think something that falls by the wayside is often those posts, but you don't realize what an impact it makes until, you've had days, then weeks go by and you're suddenly no longer active on your Instagram. Okay, 31 Reels from someone here. So impressive. Very great. I imagine you're becoming a bit of a Reels expert. Okay. Yep. And then someone here has got over 50 Instagram videos. That's awesome. I would just say maybe focus a little bit more of that video time over to Reels and see if that engagement does increase a little bit as well, to take advantage of that algorithm. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for the feedback. So we're just continuing through content over to tactics. So here we're going to talk a little bit about maximizing our engagement. And there are, a few different areas that we're going to focus on. So we're looking at, we've got hashtags and places, or like locations, photo tags and mentions, as well as engaging, different engaging formats and engaging captions as well. And then we've got headlines and thumbnails and watch time. So we've kind of broken it into those 4 areas, and we're going to jump in, not necessarily in that order. So we have spoken about these engaging formats. And, that's why, again, I mentioned stories is super important. You can utilize a lot of things like polls and Q&A features as well, which is just an awesome way to get people involved. And I think that's something that you really want to be thinking about with engagement today. You really want people to be kind of involved and jumping in with your content more than just observing it and tossing it a like. What's something that actually would pull people in? I know that there's certain accounts I follow simply because they post really fun, engaging kind of quizzes in their stories, and they do it regularly. It can just be a like this or that type of a thing, or maybe it's, something a little bit more like this, like a 4 options type responses that it's prompting. But either way, it's kind of fun for me. I mean, people like taking part in activities. So that's a huge kind of advantage, something you can really take to your advantage is just how can I be engaging? How can I be fun? What can I offer people that's a little bit interesting and maybe different from what every other account is doing? So try to think about different engaging formats. And then hashtags as well are super interesting. Hashtag strategy has just changed so much over the course of Instagram. So, for a while, the mindset was to use probably as many hashtags as you were allowed, which I believe is up to 30, and really pack them in. There was a lot of debate about using hashtags in the caption versus in the comments, where you should place them. It seems right now we've kind of hit a point of using a moderate number of hashtags. This is what I would recommend. You don't want to use the maximum number. That can look quite spammy. And I'm not seeing it, the Instagram algorithm doing much to reward using the maximum number. What we would advise is, taking a handful of very niche, maybe more specific hashtags, as well as some broader hashtags. And, think about, again, when you're thinking about your audience, what are some things they might be searching for? Let's say, it is social media marketing, as you see on the screen. Maybe they're looking for, Reels tips, or, social media marketing tips or something like that. Think about, where they might be actually searching these hashtags and potentially find your content. And then, of course, if your content performs well, you're going to see that ranked at the top of the search for that particular hashtag. So you have some hashtags that are going to be huge. They're going to have millions and millions of people, already used them. You probably aren't going to rank at the very top if you aren't already a massive, company. But a few of those really niche hashtags, you'll have a better chance of ranking at the top and being a little bit more discoverable and searchable. So I would definitely take that approach when it comes to hashtags. And at this point, it seems like putting them in the first comment, putting them in your caption, kind of either way, is definitely feasible. Not a huge recommendation one way or the other. So this kind of goes back into the sort of top posts as well that we've just talked about. So yeah, again, you see like social media tips that has 2.4 million people on there. So again, it'll probably be a little bit more challenging to rank highly for social media tips when you're using hashtags that are that broad. But it's not to say never use them. Just think about incorporating some you could rank a little bit more highly for. And then location tags. This is great to take advantage of, particularly if you have a local product or service and people might be searching the area. So you really want to take advantage of the kind of geotag, as we would call it. And, tagging even a little bit of the broader area, like a suburb or a city, could actually help you get discovered by people who are unfamiliar with your business. So if you've already set up a business location page, which you need to do through Facebook, you can tag your own business's location. However, if you're wanting more people to kind of find out, let's say you're a restaurant and you want more people in the area to learn about you, perhaps consider tagging the location or that suburb, and then more people can actually, discover you through that location as well. So definitely, though, worth it to create that location page for yourself if you do have a physical location. That will also encourage people to, if, let's say, again, restaurant example here, they come and eat at your restaurant or your cafe, to kind of take a photo of their beautiful looking food and tag it with your location tag. And then that does expand, to their followers. potentially finding you as well. So having your location set up is really important, and take advantage of those geotags for sure. And then photo tags as well. So there are kind of, there's a few different ways you can use these. You could kind of go overboard, which we see on the left, where we're tagging every Doberman page known to man. But then we also have on the right, it's just tagging the products that this influencer is, the brands that she's wearing. So these can actually be, these can be great as well, because obviously then people, who are looking through, those pages can see your tagged image on those pages. But you definitely don't want to appear spammy. So I would say to be mindful, use those tags when you think they're actually really relevant. And you can definitely use a few like the account on the left. It's just that you do risk your own followers tapping on the tags on your photo and seeing the 39 Doberman dogs and being like, okay, you're trying a bit. So I would say probably a little bit more modest approach. But like the image on the right, I think that this is great, especially for, again, she is an influencer, like a fashion influencer. People are going to look at her outfit and want to know where she bought her clothes. So they're going to go and search those pages through her. It's actually really purposeful and helpful, in addition to then allowing her to be more discoverable on those pages of those other brands as well. So it works kind of to both advantage. And then when you do tag those image contents, you are as well creating, a little bit of a relationship with the brand that you are tagging. There's the possibility that they will see your tag and then want to go ahead and repost your image. So that's, definitely something that can happen. It does happen a lot, I think, with specifically clothing and other like products like that. So certainly, that's something you can use to your advantage. Just maybe don't overdo it. And then, yeah, again, here we're seeing mentions. So that would be the case where if you do get your photo kind of mentioned and reposted on one of those brand pages, they should be mentioning your handle in the comment. But likewise, if you were going to mention someone else's, make sure that you actually add their handle to your caption as well. And you're going to post someone else's image, that is. But this can be great because if you initiate posting someone else's image, it's very likely that they may want to post one of yours back, especially if your content is complementary to one another. It can actually pave the way for a really great relationship where you are both kind of leveraging your audiences and posting one another's contents. So that kind of goes right into my next point with brand collaborations. So this is when two or more businesses are going to team up and create something unique and exclusive for a campaign. So the aim of that is to kind of help one another grow in the process. So again, it can very much be viewed as sort of a win-win. It's a strategic exchange, and it doesn't cost really anything if you're teaming up together. So we see an example of that here. Now, obviously, with some of these bigger brands, I'm not sure exactly what the behind the scenes is financially, but if it's you working with another, influencer, or you working with another small business, it's definitely something you can do without it costing money, since you're both going to be promoting one another. So captions are super interesting, kind of like hashtags. We've seen a really big shift in how captions are used over the years. So we went from having maybe longer captions to shorter captions. And at this point, what the best kind of approach is to try to have a blend of both. You really don't want to rely on one or the other, but having both can be really interesting and engaging. It can be unexpected then to have, if you usually have these longer, more meaningful kind of microblog captions like we see on the right, then mix it up every now and again with maybe a shorter, little more punchy to the point caption as well. Both can actually generate great engagement. If you go for the microblog kind of option, definitely make sure that there's a purpose, that you're sharing something that is to, aimed to, again, educate or connect with your audience. So definitely, not just like a pointless ramble, but make sure that there's maybe a story behind it. You can even be sharing a testimonial from a customer or a client. Let's say if you're a fitness instructor and you want to share one of your clients' fitness journeys, that's a really great, beautiful way to share a bit of a microblog right there on Instagram. They don't have to leave the app. It'll keep them, interested and on the post. It'll also create maybe an emotional connection to your page and encourage comments to that caption as well. People are going to want to maybe engage because they've learned a little bit of a story. But also you can do, some fun things with captions, like the cookie company on the left, which is just asking, which flavor do you like better? That's something quick and easy that is just like punchy, not so overwhelming, but does encourage engagement as well, because people are going to be wanting to reply and giving their answer. So you can utilize both for different reasons. I would say having a blend of both will keep your content interesting and definitely encourage engagement as well. I think just one or the other, people might get a little bit bored, but both of them is the perfect blend. So there are some other incentives that you can utilize with your captions as well. So we have those kind of mention or tag a friend, as that's something that is still very highly used. So again, maybe you have a restaurant, you're showing an amazing looking meal, tag a friend who you want to come have this brunch with. That is something that people love to jump on board with. It's fun, it's incentivizing, they want to add their friend. It's a way to make it personal. So that's a great way to derive some engagement, and certainly a strategy that you can use. And then again, that kind of falls in line with the like to agree. This one, I would probably use a little bit less. It's a little bit more obvious what you're going for when you say like to agree, but it's something you can use every once in a while to try and drive a little bit of engagement as well. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just kind of, if you like this post, go ahead and give it a double tap. So we kind of have the ranking of engagement here, what is most valued by the algorithm to the least valued, sort of a thing. So you've got saves are number one. So really trying to create content that someone likes so much or finds so much value in that they want to save it and go back to it later. That tells the algorithm, okay, this content's great. Second to that would be sharing it. Again, people wanting to actually share your post with someone else really shows that the content is valued. And then we've got comments as well as likes kind of at the bottom. So I would definitely try to steer clear from just focusing on likes. I think it's so easy for us to get caught up in that and just be so focused on how many likes did my post get. But there are other metrics that are absolutely incredibly important and actually rank higher than likes when it comes to the algorithm. And then again, we just have our features to maximize story engagement. So you can see, I mentioned some of these features already, but you've got polls and quizzes and questions. You can even add music. You can add location tags and stories in addition. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Stories are one of my favorite features on Instagram. So definitely make sure that you are utilizing all these different features for maximum engagement. And when it comes to posting your videos and your reels, you want to make sure that you've got a really captivating thumbnail as well. Have an image that people want to click on. These both capture some pretty breathtaking moments. So you are going to be, incentivized to want to click on that video and actually see what's going on and what's happening. So just make sure that you are, keeping the thumbnail really engaging. Have a good headline that's also informative and gives a bit of information, and make sure that the watch time is adequate. You don't want the video to drag on too long, but just something that is, again, especially for reels, it's snackable content. So make sure that you're keeping it that way, nice and short, but also highly engaging. Okay, great. And then I think this would be our last activity, just kind of seeing which tactics that you already use and which you're excited to try out. So if you want to just jump in the chat, I think we have maybe just like a minute or two to kind of do that and wrap up here. So I would love to hear a little bit of feedback quickly. Yeah, definitely more reels. I feel like if there's one takeaway you're going to have, it's just me telling you do reels, but it is important. So yeah, sharing content. And again, if you are creating reels, yeah, definitely you can share those to your stories as well. Make sure you're doing that. Yeah, and I think reels are, Yeah, so the length for Reels, you've got up to 60 seconds. So, I mean, it's not a huge window. So really just you can utilize really any time within that. I would say with the videos, since you're like almost unlimited in time, still try to keep your video length something a little bit more reasonable. I would say try to keep that below 2 minutes for sure on your regular videos. But Reels, of course, you are limited. So you're good to use the 60 seconds. Yeah, awesome. Excited to see how many of you are excited about Reels. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the content. We will get into a few Q&A questions as well. I've seen a couple coming through, but I just want to wrap up the last few slides here, as I know some of you have to head out. But we just always encourage that you go out and build your network. As you know, at the end of our master classes, we think it's really important. Just hop on any social media app, maybe LinkedIn or Instagram, and just make sure that you are connecting with new people and new accounts. It's just something that we can sometimes forget to do and stay sort of stuck. So make sure that you are being the one to go be proactive and actually build out your connections today. Just something I would inspire you all to do. And then as well, we might be able to, I just skipped past the last slide, but we may be able to send some follow-up, additional resources in terms of like maybe content calendar recommendations and things like that. So I'll just chat and make sure that we could maybe follow up with all of you who attended and send a few recommendations if you'd like. But then also I would just recommend you all to create yourselves, create a little action plan for yourselves, write down a few things so you don't forget. Maybe it's, I want to get started on a content calendar. I want to start making more Reels. Just put a little plan together. It's so easy to walk away from something like this and be like, oh, I think I'll get to that and forget to do it. So just go ahead and try to make a situational action plan for yourself so you can implement some of these new strategies that we've talked about today. And we'll probably, yeah, there you go. I was going to say, we don't need to share this in the chat, but these would be some prompts that you can use for creating your own action plan. Just what are 3 things you can do in response to what you've learned, and what are the situations that you will take those actions? So yeah, that's great. And we can move into Q&A section now.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Natalia. So I have made a note of all the questions that were popping in the chat and also in Q&A. So the first one is Instagram video post add enlarge function. Could you recommend the best size for better engaging content on videos?
Sorry, I kind of missed the first part of what you just read, Apurva.
It was all about that Instagram video post have added an enlarge function for the videos. So do you have like a recommended size that you tell students to kind of work around for creating a better engaging content for videos?
No, we haven't had a specifically recommended size, but I can definitely look into, getting back with some specifics if they would like. So we can certainly follow back up with them.
Perfect. And the next one is quality versus quantity on posting. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, quality is going to be the most important. So again, I think that the best way to maintain kind of the balance of quality and quantity is to try and produce a little bit of that bulk content. Try to plan ahead is the biggest thing you can do. So if you can make some quality posts and kind of have them stored and ready to go, you should be able to kind of hit both elements, but certainly don't let the quality suffer just so that you're posting all the time. I think, again, that's a really great area where if there's just no way you can get a post onto your feed every single day, take advantage of stories, because those don't need to be quite as maybe perfected or high quality, if you will, but is a way that you can be engaging and present for your audience every single day, even if you're not active on your feed every single day.
Mm-hmm. The next one is, what's better, Reels or the new Instagram video format?
What was the first? Reels.
What's better, Reels or the new Instagram video format?
I would still say at this moment, Reels is definitely the place to be, because that is still the direct TikTok competitor. So for right now, that's, what I would say, but certainly take advantage of every, new format available. Like, don't just limit yourself. It's kind of hard to say what's going to be more important because the algorithm is always changing. So it may in turn favor something else over Reels, but we have just seen that Reels performing so well for a while, that's still important to take advantage of.
How many hashtags is a good number according to you?
I would stick to around 10 hashtags. 10 and under, probably between 5 and 10. You don't want to be using the maximum, but around 10 should give you the ability to add in a few niche hashtags and a few broader hashtags as well. And certainly if you can create a custom hashtag for yourself, that's something great that you can also incentivize users with as well. If you have a hashtag just for your business, and then you're incentivizing users to create content and use that hashtag, maybe they'll, get $5 off for a service or something like that, just to promote a little bit more activity. That's another way you can use hashtags.
The next one is it good to have captions in different languages?
That's interesting. I think that that's very dependent on your your follower base. So if you have a very split following, maybe between a few different countries or 2 different countries, I could certainly see it being advantageous to have both. If the majority of your following, and you can check all of that in your insights, and you should see where the majority of your following is located. If they're all kind of in one area, if they're all maybe based relatively in Australia, then I think you should probably be fine just sticking with the language most commonly used, but definitely something to take advantage of if you do have a split.
Mm-hmm. And the second last question is, should Reels be different from the videos I post on my TikTok?
Yes, so I think that you do want to create some original content for Reels, definitely, because if you have followers who are going to be potentially following you on both platforms, you want to show that there's a reason they should be following you on both platforms, and you want to have some unique and individual content for both. However, it's definitely, a good idea if you have a really well-performing, high-performing TikTok, for example, go ahead and share that over to Instagram as well. Take advantage of it. It's great to have that content help you build up your bulk supply, but try to, still create some original content on both if you can.
Mm-hmm. The last one is, how do you get a sense of when your audience is most active? Is there a pattern to see or follow?
So you can definitely look at that in your insights, and it will show you exactly the times and the days that your audience is the most active. So check the insights on your account. You can definitely, if you're not sure where to find that, do a quick Google. You'll be able to find the steps to accessing your insights, and look and base your posting times off of that. So when you're making that content calendar, try to align your posting times based off of, okay, my audience is really active maybe at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, and go ahead and try and post and hit those target times.
Perfect. So that was all. I think we've answered most of the questions. If we haven't, you can send those questions to your IHBC team. And if you just can go to the last slides, Natalia, we will hand it back to Enrique. And just a reminder to everyone, we have recorded this session, and IHBC team will be sharing the presentation and the recording with you all.
Yeah, so exactly right. So we will be sending it out to everyone, so you can go back over it. I know I will. It was really interesting, to have a look at the historical part of Instagram and where it's evolved from and what it's becoming to, and even the competitors. Even Instagram have to keep up with their competitors, and obviously TikTok's been mentioned a few times. So that was great. Thanks, Natalia. For me, awesome insight, and I'm hoping that everybody got something from it. If you'd like to get in contact with me or anybody within our team, the number's there for you. So 92790733. Also ask us at ihbc.edu.au is where you can ask if you've missed something, or you need some clarification, or you just want to have a chat with me about what else you can do to progress your career, either as an entrepreneur or looking at getting into the industry. I will definitely help you out with what a step could be to purify or even improve your skills. There's a lot of different options. You don't have to do the full diploma. You can do really short courses to boost your abilities as well. Once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to both of you for hosting this today. And I look forward to more of these kind of masterclasses in the future.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.